Camera here, so look.
So there we are. We are now live again.
That's it. So when I look at you,
here we go.
It
You can
looks
see
good.
me. So yes, Mr. Firstenberg is back again.
Yes.
Didn't have enough punishment last time, so let's see what questions we have today.
Okay.
Right.
You have nice. Last time you had nice people with nice question, with interesting question. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll take a few minutes for people to come in. So I will ask about your first film. Well, first two films actually, For the Sake of the Dog and One More Chance. Not
Absolutely.
action
That's
films,
good.
so a bit different for you.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For the Sake of the Dog, because you wrote that one as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
okay, put you here so I can look right at you. Okay, that's it.
So 1979 in Israel. It's a non-English film.
It's a non-English. It's a short. It's not a full feature. It's a short.
45
movie.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And was it a student film? Yeah.
Not really, but it was after when I finished.
Oh, after finish. Okay, it's not bad.
I went to school here, undergraduate, BA.
Okay.
Here in Los Angeles. And while I was here in Los Angeles, during the school BA, I made 3 or 4 short movies through the time. One of them is called Sandcastle. I don't remember, but those are short, very short. Then I started to work as an assistant director.
Right.
And I started to work for the company of Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus, but it was before Canon. They did not have Canon at the time.
Okay.
And I moved back to Israel, started to work as assistant director. And as I was working, I wanted to make movies. I wanted to... So I collected money. By that time, I already had friends and professional people who, all technical aspects, cinematographer, lighting, sound, etc. I wrote a script, and it's a 30-minute movie.
Okay.
And I did it all by myself. I wrote it, I produced it. There was a producer. I directed it, and many people helped me. Cinematographers, lighting, sound, as I mentioned, makeup, all departments. They all virtually everything. Everybody volunteered, and that way we made the movie. And at the time, the television in Israel was at its beginning. The television, different television stations. There was only station. There was one station. This was
right.
First. Yeah, and they were broadcasting black and white, not color.
Yeah.
So the film is 16 millimeter. We shot it on film on 16 millimeter. Of course, there was no video at the time yet. And but they broadcasted the movie in black and white.
Okay.
So it is social drama.
Right.
If you have more questions about it, you can ask me and I will elaborate on it.
Well, did that lead you on to One More Chance, which is a theatrical release?
So, so this short movie, it's called For the Sake of a Dog. Social drama, and it was like it was a true story. It was an event that happened that the old man was arrested because he didn't want to pay a fine because he was walking his dog on the beach, but finally. He was in prison, but the inmate got him out somehow.
Okay.
It was a nice social commentary, drama, etc. And but that time, this was 1979, I believe.
Yes.
1978, 1979. I worked for 5 years as assistant director by then, up to this point.
Okay.
And I didn't want to be an assistant director. That was not my goal. I wanted to direct. And in in the environment of the industry in Israel, the film industry, I didn't see how the opportunity will present itself that I will direct movies. I didn't see it. And so I also, at the time, my wife wanted to do a doctorate work, PhD.
Right.
So we decided we'll go back to Los Angeles, and I decided to go back to school, to film school, for a master degree, MA.
Okay.
Which they call here graduate school. And when I was accepted to a school here, Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, it's a university, and I was the oldest student because by then I was already 29.
Okay.
and with 5 years experience in movie making, assistant director, some of them big movies, small movies, big movies. One of them was with Billy Friedkin, with the director Billy Friedkin, the Sorcerer, huge movie.
Yeah.
And some other, the story of Jesus, big movie. I was the assistant director on this one. Anyway, so I had a lot of experience, and part of the studies in the school was, maybe it's 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, I don't know. But the end of it, every student makes a film, or every 2 students, a group.
Okay, yeah.
They make a film, 30 minutes. This is the graduate project. And, so you have to write, prepare, shoot. You have 2 years to do it. I had decided at this point, with all my experience, that I really want to make a full feature. I don't want to make only 30 minutes. Anyway, I wrote a script, 30 minutes, about a prisoner who comes out of prison. And also it's a social subject about a prisoner who tried to put his life back together after he comes out of prison. And the script was 30 minutes, but first I was working the script, and I met in school. I met another student who was also Israeli here in Los Angeles, and I was showing around the other movie that we spoke about, For the Sake of a Dog. I translated it to English, and I was showing it to people, and I told them, listen, let's make a movie, a full movie while we are in school. A full feature movie, 90 minutes. And if you're interested to produce, his name is David Womark. If you're interested to produce, then I will direct. And I took the 30-minute script and expanded it to 90 pages, let's say, 90, equivalent to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it got more involved with the prisoner and his life. And the story takes place in Los Angeles, in the environment of the various part of Los Angeles, various aspects of employment and probation and many other of those elements. And he's looking for his son. That's the thread line of the story that takes him and so we were ready. And how would we do it? We decided we'll go to the school. We'll come to the film school. It's only one department. This is a big university. All kind of department and stuff. So we'll come to the heads of the department and we'll suggest to produce a movie while we're in school, maybe a year and a half, and we'll make it into a class. The class will be making a movie. Whoever wants to participate, I will share with them all my knowledge and experience in movie making. I have a lot of experience. And this will be this. Here is the script. We'll do the script, and we'll do everything in school. And in the department there was a sound stage, of course. There was a television sound stage, a movie sound stage, equipment, 16mm cameras, the tripods, the lighting, the stands, anything, the recording equipment, editing equipment, anything you need to make a movie. You just have to put it together, So okay, so the heads of the department, they said, that's a good idea. I mean, they say we cannot finance it, but that's a good idea. So the students will be volunteers. They will work and they will learn. They will gain experience. And let's go with it. Now we need at the time. So here we have a script. We have some kind of structure to producing how we are going to produce, and we need to buy 16 millimeter film. The cameras we have the camera, but we have to buy the film. School did not provide.
Okay.
That's the student has to do. Now 30 minutes, but we needed more film and footage for this. and we have to start to cast the movie, to look for actors for the various parts. So we found out maybe we didn't have any money, David and me. We didn't have any money, nothing. But we found out that we are eligible for student aid help. Okay. And we can work in school, work study, they call it. Right. And we went, there is a financial aid office. We went to the office and said, okay, we are not parents dependent. We are old enough. I'm 29. I don't have money for school. What kind of financial aid I can get? So I think they waived the tuition and they gave us some money for livelihood.
Okay.
For rent, food, etc. That's part of the deal. Okay. And we can get some work in school. We can work. I was a projectionist. I don't remember what David did. Because there is all the time there are classes that they need to project movies. They come 35 millimeter projector. I knew how to use the projectors, and I became the projectionist of the school, making money.
Yeah.
And David did some other job. I don't remember, making money. So now we have source. We have money to buy film, and not only to buy film, but once we are shooting, once we are filming, we have to send it to a lab for developing. And so on. That costs money also. The school didn't have facility. So nowadays you have video, you have computers, you record on video, memory cards, you put the computer for free. All you need is a memory card, a computer.
Pretty much, isn't it?
We didn't have it. We found some casting director, not from the school. She was willing to work with us. I had a friend, my connection to the industry, I needed some connection to the outside the school. And I had the connection. The connection was the actor Michael Pataki. There was an actor, Michael Pataki. He did character parts in some famous movies also. And one time, a few years earlier, he directed a movie. The movie was called The Eyes of Dr. Cheney. It was changed later to The Mansion of Doom. I know now it is called The Mansion of Doom.
Okay.
And Michael was the director. And I worked on the movie. Andrew Davis, who became a director, famous director later, was the cinematographer. And we were friendly. So I was a grip on this movie.
All right.
Andrew was the cinematographer. I was the grip. There are other people. And that's how I met Michael Pataki. And I came to Michael Pataki. I said, Michael, here I have a script. I don't know nothing about casting. How did it? He will help me. He promised to help. And he got us, one way or another, casting director. And we started to look for actors, for characters. I wanted him to play the lead part, but he suggested a friend of him, Johnny LaMotta, to play the part. Later on, Johnny LaMotta became kind of famous. He was in the television series The Elf. He was a regular. But he was a accomplished actor, theater, musicals, many parts in many movies, television. And Johnny liked the script, liked the idea. We told him no money, we don't have money, but you're in a lead part.
Yeah.
And for the lead female part, which was kind of the mother of the boy, he's looking for the boy, and she doesn't want to enable the meeting between him and the boy. We were casting, looking, and finally we found a young actress out of acting school. Her name, Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
And we liked her very much. Obviously, she was a great actress. we later on, everybody learned, not only us. So we gave her the part. She agreed also to do it. No payment, nothing. And a few more actors. And we started to film in the weekend. We filmed the movie only in weekends. Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. And because during the week, all the students were busy in school with studies, whatever, working, I don't know, whatever they did. And if we needed any scenery to build set, we did it during the week with the students. So in the weekend it was ready. So either some of the filming was in the studio, the school studio with set that they built, the students. Every student had a job, the art director, the script supervisor, cinematographer, everyone did what they need to do. And Saturday, Sunday, we film. So now it's prolonged, because we are not shooting every day. And it took us a year and a half.
Well,
luckily, everybody was loyal. All the actors stayed with us for a year and a half. The crew changed, the cinematographer changed, but you cannot change the actors, especially Kirstie Alley and Johnny LaMotta. They stayed with us throughout the year and a half. Sometimes he was busy with shows on the road. We had to stop until he came back. The tour was over. He came back. And by the end of, and we discovered that, every time we film, we put the negative, we give the film to the lab, Photochem. There is a small independent lab here in Los Angeles. And now they print a work print for editing. When you come in, you have to pay the bill if you want to take it out. But we found out if you don't take it out, you don't pay the bill. There is no bill. So we didn't take it out. We were just filming every weekend, and it stays in the lab because we wanted to make sure we have the money. And we also have to buy food, pizza for the crew. It's not only the film. It was food and film, what we called raw stock, 16 millimeter. And meantime, we are accumulating all the material in the lab. We didn't come to take it out, and so they didn't bill us. And so we had money. Okay, so a year and a half we finished. And we didn't finish to shoot the entire script. Let's say 60 pages, which is equivalent to 1 hour. And we still have few more, let's say 20 pages from the script, 30 pages, 20 to shoot.
Right.
And the people, the accounting in the lab realized what's happening suddenly. So they called us in and said, listen, you guys have thousands of dollars you owe us.
Oh.
And there are reels and reels of film here. We don't want it. We are not a warehouse. Take it. We are not here to keep it for you. And pay. We didn't have any more money. We spent all our money, all this financial aid, all the money, work study, everything. We finished. We didn't have any more money. So we are stuck now, David and me. Most of the movie is filmed and we don't know what to do. So we told the lab, we struck a deal with the lab, with the laboratory. We said, listen, we are going, give us the material without payment. Just, keep a tab. Keep us, we owe you.
Okay.
We'll edit the material and we'll go out, shop around, find somebody to finance the completion of the movie.
Right.
Part of the deal will be that they will pay, whoever we find money, part of the deal will be paying whatever we owe you in the lab. And, cleverly enough, I would say they agreed because I don't think they had other options. We didn't have money.
Yeah, it's not be paid at all.
We took out all the material, rolls of the film used to be in boxes. The old film used to be in thin boxes. Yeah. So we have those towers of tin boxes. We take them all back to the school. There was an editing machine. And we started to edit the film, But meantime, so we edit enough to have a show reel, maybe 15 minutes out of the movie, 20 minutes. We can show people. Meantime, we were still editing to put the 1 hour together. It was not a continuous 1 hour. You understand? Out of the 90 minutes, maybe we have 60 minutes, but not continuous. It's not beginning to this point, and then we need the ending. Maybe the ending scene, maybe this, maybe. Okay, but we put together reel, and we started to shop. We decided to go out and shop with distributors, producers, see who is willing. Now we realized nobody wanted really to give us money, because in the world of independent, in the world of big studios, of course, such a small movie doesn't count. In the world of independent, they're not looking for social dramas with unknown actors. Usually the small independent are exploitation type of movies, either horror or action or or sexual oriented, or sometimes once in a while there is a very artistic movie, but usually it's a formula type of movies that they sell, and they didn't see no names actor, no any subject, no horror, no action, no science fiction.
Okay.
At the same time, I found out that the two cousins, Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus, I worked for them. I started to work with them in 1973. So, 9 years earlier, before I started to work with them. And I was assistant director in many of the movies that they produced. I was working for them in their office as a runner. So I knew them pretty well, let's say, and they knew me. And I found out that they always had a dream to move to Hollywood, from Israel to Hollywood. The first company they established in Hollywood was called Ameri Euro Picture. It did not work out. It was dissolved. But they still kept the dream. The dream was to come to Hollywood, to make movies in Hollywood, not in Israel. And then I found out that they bought a small company, production company in New York. The name of the company is Canon Film. Canon Film was a small distribution production company in New York. They used to make a very specific type of movies. Those were the hot tub movies, the pajama party movies. So girls, they used to call them TNA movies.
Yeah.
And this is what Canon used to do, the Canon. So they had a bunch of those movies. They also had one hit. It was Joe. The movie Joe was a hit that they had. But for some reason, they needed to sell it. Canon just had the big success with a movie that they produced in Israel, Lemon Pepsicle. So they had they had money because of Lemon Pepsicle. They had extra money, and this helped them to purchase this company. And this was it's a public company with shares which are traded in Wall Street, a real company. But first thing they did, they moved it to Hollywood. They had no interest in New York, so they moved the company there. So I found out that they moved to here. They had offices somewhere here in Los Angeles, and I called them. I said, I would like to meet with you. I have a proposition. Okay. They knew me. Okay. We came over there. David Womack said, okay, here's the story. A, B, C, D, the story I just told you. And we are stuck. We have no more money. We have a showreel. We can show you the movie, the material. And if you're interested, you will invest in it. It will be your movie, the company's movie. They needed product. They needed movie.
Sure.
At the time. They saw the showreel. They saw the material. It was good enough for them to say, okay, how much money do you need? We told them we need minimal, $50,000 at the time, $50,000, whatever, minimal amount of money to complete this movie. And they had, in these facilities, they also had editing rooms, post-production. And they already had some deals in place with MGM to do sound work and so on. It was a company. So they agree, we paid the lab. First thing, we paid the lab. Okay, we got the lab out of the way, and so we can even send more material and And we put together 2 weeks of shooting this time. For the rest, to complete filming the script. So we put together a crew with our students, with our friends, with some people from the outside, a mixed group. But again, still everybody was working for free, volunteering, volunteering days, and we had 2 weeks every day to complete the movie, to finish and we did. We filmed the entire script. We got a professional editor. Now we moved all the material from the school to Canon Film. Also, by now we are 2 years in school already. So we kind of ready to graduate or almost graduated. I don't remember the graduation thing. And we kept editing. If I remember correctly, we still went to school, David and me. We still went to school. We came to the editing room. We went to classes. I was still working as a projectionist. But the graduation eventually came. We finished, and we had the material. The 30 minutes that we spoke about, we had for graduation. So they graduated school with a master degree, in filmmaking, and we completed the editing in the offices of Canon Film.
Okay.
Luckily enough for us, Canon had some deal with MGM Studios, which are now Sony Studios, and to do sound work. I think we also moved the developing of the film to MGM Lab, because they had a deal. They had the open account, whatever, because they produced other movies, horror pictures at the time. New Year Evil, Schizoid, I think. And so when we finished the editing, they sent us. We had a deal to mix the sound, to mix the final sound. We had a composer he wrote music with music. So we had a deal to record the music and to do the final mixing in MGM. And boy, we have this tiny little movie, 16 millimeter. And I come to MGM and all of us, and here we are in a studio. We are walking in the back of the studio, and we go to a sound stage. They have in the sound stage, they had Oscars for all the movies. They won Oscars for sound mixing, etc. Boy, I'm sitting with the mixers. They're all Oscar winners for Sound of Music, Mary Poppins. I don't know Mary Poppins, it was Disney, but some of those big MGM movies. And this was a different experience.
Yeah.
And, so we mixed the movie. We whatever had to be done. Sometimes you have to do re-recording. We have to do re-recording. Some lines are not clear. Whatever had to be done with Johnny LaMotta, with the other actors, with Kirstie Alley, all of them. Everybody came, helped us. And 2 years later, the movie was finished. It was a complete 90 minutes movie, social drama, which is eventually we called One More Chance. It's the title that I chose. It had a different title in the beginning, but now it was One More Chance. Right. So so it became part of the company's library. Okay, they have movies. Yeah. One of their movies, One More Chance, they put it in the catalog. Menachem and Golan and Yoram Globus were very famous in selling movies in Cannes Film Festival. They used to go every year to Cannes Film Festival. They really understood this business. They had another partner, Danny Dimber. They understood the selling. So they always used to print catalogs, and every year to go to Cannes with the catalog, and the buyers from different countries all over the world, we call them regions, different regions of the world, would buy movies from the catalog. So it became, One More Chance became in the catalog. Actually, they even have a pretty nice poster, I must admit. And then, and the other thing we can do, the only other thing we can do is send it to festivals. What do you do with such a movie? We have the poster of One More Chance, maybe. One More Chance was a beautiful picture. Here we are in Cannes Film Festival, David Womark and myself, in front of the poster in Cannes Film Festival. So, and we started to submit it to festival. One of the festivals that accepted it there was a, I don't know if it's still there, there is the Chicago International Film Festival, and there is a section for newcomers, student film, whatever. So we sent it over there, and we got the word that we won the second prize, the second place. I was invited to go there to receive the certification or whatever. And the other festival that accepted it, there is a festival in Switzerland, Locarno Film Festival. This festival specializes in first-time director. They only show movies. So they accepted the movie. I was invited. I went to Switzerland and to Cannes Film Festival. So few festivals along the way, but it's not a commercial movie. It's not a movie that would make a lot of money. They sold it. I guess they sold it here and there. Of course, David and me, we did not profit from this movie in any shape or form, but it launched a career for both of us, for David as a producer in Canon Film and outside Canon Film, and the same thing myself. It's launched my career as a director in Canon Film and outside, later on also outside Canon Film.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the movie. One More Chance.
It's not a bad
of course,
start.
there are so many adventures. Yeah, we had 2 years, filming in 2 years. It's not. It's not easy. It's not. It's not easy in terms of just putting making sure that the company stays together. The people, the actors. We don't lose that.
A long time. So let's have a look. Who got? Luke's Movies and TVs in the chat says hi. How are you both? I'm all right.
We're fantastic. Thank you, Luke.
Hobbs Horror's here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Hobbs.
Hello, Hob.
Jim's Retro Emporium. Good evening, all.
Jim. All right, Jim.
And we got Alucard.
Wow.
How do we all believe in the beat?
How much do we believe in the beat? We did. We believe in the beat. That's why we did the movie Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, that moves us on to. Oh, can't say that because of the green screen. Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Believe in the beat.
It was just called Breakdance 2 in the UK.
Yeah. Here in America, they use the slang, breaking. But all over the world, not only all over the world, Breakdance 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
So there are different type of posters and different type of.
We were behind the times.
But we do believe in the beat, definitely.
Yes, we do. Because Al and I did a watch party of that.
Will be, if you just heard the story of One More Chance, we'll be happy to answer any questions or any other question in general. I guess, right?
Because Breakdance 2 came out the same year as Breakdance 1, didn't it?
Yeah, the story of breakdance is a very famous. I'm just in a second. Oh, I want to show you something just because we were talking about One More Chance. This is the final scene of One More Chance.
Oh yeah.
And here you have, this is Johnny LaMotta, who played the lead part, and Kirstie Alley behind him, young Kirstie Alley. That was her first job. And of course, in the final scene of the movie, he meets the boy that he wanted, he was looking for, happy ending. So here you have Johnny LaMotta and Kirstie Alley, 1979 or 1980.
Yeah, depending on which countries here in.
So this was pretty. And here is, I told you, Locarno Film Festival, invitation from Locarno Film Festival to show the movie. And the Chicago... the prize that we won in Chicago, second place for the movie. And I'm just looking for the poster, and then I'll tell you the story of
no problem.
Here. So I told you it was pretty nice poster. They put together pretty nice.
There you go.
It was silver in color. It was pretty nice.
Yes,
so cannot put it together. This
hand drawn over.
Years later, after I directed, so we are still in Canon Film.
Yeah.
And years later, after I directed the Revenge of the Ninja and Ninja 3: The Domination with Lucinda Dickey. And while I was working on Ninja 3: The Domination, maybe in the editing, the company got involved in shooting a movie, filming a movie, which was called Breakdance. the craze of the time, hip hop.
Yes.
Breaking and rapping. It was new, but they were already, because it was a social phenomena and artistic street art phenomena, there was already like 3 or 4 movies happening already, filming, or at least preparing.
Right.
One of them is Beat Street. There were a few more.
Yes.
I don't remember. Beat Street, I remember.
Mm.
And they had 2 stars, Shabadoo and Shrimp. They were looking for a girl to fit into the script, the part, and they liked Lucinda Dickey and she was a dancer. Lucinda was a dancer, and they liked her very much. I was not involved. There was a director. Joel Silver was the director, and I was busy in editing Ninja 3: The Domination. They rushed it. They filmed the movie very, very fast, edited it very fast, and it came out before Ninja 3: The Domination. They want to beat every other movie about breakdance. They want to beat Beat Street. Anyway, so the movie came out even before Ninja 3: The Domination. So Lucinda, and this was a huge, huge, huge hit. Big hit. MGM distributed it, and the movie was the biggest success for this young company, Canon Film. Not so young, but for Canon Film. Huge hit, big hit. For MGM, so Lucinda became famous overnight. Shabadoo and Shrimp, of course. And then they took out. By then, we finished the editing of Ninja 3: The Domination, and so the company, like the way it works in Hollywood, they wanted a sequel immediately. It was the same story, like we did Revenge of the Ninja. They wanted Ninja 3 immediately, but in this case, they wanted it urgently, right now. Now to start, and there was another element. So they had the trio, Shabadoo, Shrimp, and Lucinda. They signed them for a sequel. I was not involved, of course, when they did the deal together. They saw that everybody in the world, the buyers, the audience, they want another movie, a sequel. And the other thing that happened, all the movies that Canon produced up to this point were all distributed by MGM.
Right.
And for this particular one, I don't know if they had a fallout with MGM. I don't remember the details. They struck a deal with Columbia, with a bigger studio, much bigger.
Yeah.
But it was TriStar. TriStar Picture was Columbia Picture. So for them, for Canon, it was a step upward. They're moving up from MGM to Columbia. Columbia is a huge company, much bigger than MGM. And so they struck the deal with Columbia, and they wanted it fast. They wanted it right now. And something happened, which, again, I don't know until today, because some of the people, there is nobody to ask even before, because most of the people involved passed away. They did not hire the director, the same director, Joel.
Yeah.
Silver. Joel passed away, Menachem Golan passed away. I don't know what the detail maybe.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody knows anymore what happened. But anyway, they did not. And Menachem Golan grabbed me in the corridor, in the company, in the offices building, and he says, listen, we are doing breaking number 2. You already worked with Lucinda. Can you direct a musical? Whoa, or a dance movie, musical.
Yeah.
Wow, sure. Why not? If you ask me if I can direct American comedy, maybe I would say no. But dance movie, immediately in my brain, I said there is not much difference between dance and action and martial art. Not a big difference, right there. And I love musical. I love music, so of course. And I knew that the budget was bigger than Revenge of the Ninja, bigger than Ninja 3: The Domination, because now they're working with Columbia Pictures. It will be good budget, etc. Okay. In any case, of course, I took it, and so of course I will direct it. Now they wanted it out immediately. It so happened that it was within the span of 1 year. In the beginning, the Breaking came out in the holidays of January, Christmas, January,
Yeah.
the early holidays of the year. And now we are toward the end of the year, I think September or something like this. And okay, so you have to shoot it. The filming itself, they did not bother us. It was a very luxurious, good schedule. 9 weeks of shooting. This is for a low budget movie, independent company. This is pretty good. 6 days of 9 weeks. Budget was big for us, $9 million at the time for a company. For us, this was a big budget, but we had big numbers. The group of dancers, they were hired every day. They were on the set every day.
Oh, right.
It was not all location movie, because there is some studio work.
Yeah.
And not only this, there was a script. And Menachem Golan, which was a very creative producer, once in a while, every few days, he had an idea for another scene. He would call me, let's do this. So people who know the movie, there is a scene of Michael Shrimp dancing around revolving room. This was not on the script. This was one of the ideas that Menachem Golan wanted to add. There was another scene there dancing with the rag doll. This was not on the script. It was added. So every time we have to add days to the schedule, and few scenes which are not on the movie, which did not ended up on the movie. Okay. But they wanted it fast. So we put together big editing department, big editing crew.
Yeah.
Because usually the standard of filming is that what we call the post-production, which is editing, music, sound, everything, color correction, takes double the time of the filming. So a movie that you film for 8 weeks, you need another 16 weeks. That's the standard of the industry, more or less. Double the time of the filming is the time of post-production. We shot for 9 weeks. They didn't want post-production of 18 weeks. They wanted it now. So we assembled, if I'm not wrong, 7 editors, 6 or 7 editors together. There was a head editor, of course.
Okay.
Marcus Menton was the head editor. And another 5 or 6 editors working around the clock, 24 hours. So the editing rooms, one editor will work 10 hours, he will go, the other editor comes to the same room, works for them. And we worked in 4 or 5 different rooms. I'm filming in the evening, I come, or in the weekend, not in the evening, the weekend I come to see the edited scene. And the editing was so fast that while we are filming, we finished to film the scene. 2-3 days later, it's edited, finished. They send it to the sound. They didn't wait for the entire movie to be edited. Every scene was sent to the sound department. Put the sound together, the effects. It was crazy.
I bet.
Because they wanted it out immediately. Either Colombia. Now, we finished the filming, and something in addition happened to it. In addition to what I'm telling you, happened.
Okay.
Columbia Picture had a big movie coming out. It was the holidays, but not the Christmas holiday. It was the summer holiday, whatever. It was a season. And they had the movie Supergirl. I think with Linda Evans, I think. And they bet everything, Columbia bet everything on this movie, Supergirl. At the time, I don't know if this is still the same practice. At the time, there was a system that studios, distribution companies, but of course Columbia is TriStar is also a distribution company. They would rent theaters ahead of time. So it was not like much later. It was up to the theater how many weeks to keep the movie running,
Right.
But there was another system. I don't remember how they call it, not forewalling, something. So the studio will insure 4 weeks, let's say, of theater. And the theater chain is not involved. It's your problem, the distributor problem. You pay us for 4 weeks. If the movie works, doesn't work, it's you have the movie, the theater for this amount of time. And you prepay. You pay for this rental. So for Supergirl, they rented 1,600, I don't know, 1,400 theaters all over the nation for, let's say, 4 weeks, let's say 3 weeks. I don't know the number. And, you know, such a studio, they test the movie. They don't just open a movie blind. You know, they take testing, they go to all kind of different sections of the country. They do screen testing with scores, and they realize that this movie, Supergirl, will not work in theater. People don't like it. I think, whatever. You know, I was not part of Paramount, part of Columbia, but TriStar, but they decide. So what did they decide? They already have the theater. So they made such a decision. Let's say they will put Supergirl in the theater for 1 week or 2 weeks, and the rest of the time they will put Breaking to Electric. So now we have a deadline. We don't have any more the luxury of whenever we want to finish the editing. There was a deadline. The deadline was in 2 weeks. So we had the 7 editors and maybe 14 sound editors working together. And music, it's a musical. There is a music editor, sound editor, sound effects, special effects, color correction. So every scene that we finished went to the lab, went to the color correction. And we worked around the clock 24 hours for 2 weeks. After the end of the shooting, in 2 weeks after the end of the shooting, the movie was ready. We had one screening, one test screening. If we needed to do a few adjustments, we did. We learned from the test screening. There was one test screening where young people were invited, the target audience. We saw what they like, what they didn't like. We did few changes. 1,600 prints. Paramount printed. I went to the lab to see the scenery. It's mountains of, every movie is 5 or 6 reels. They come in cans, 2 cans, metal cans, heavy and big, 35 millimeter. So if you put even 20 movies on top of each other, it's like a tower. And they had 1,600 prints of this movie. Breaking to Electric Boogaloo. Went out to the theaters. So in one hand, we were lucky. We got 1,600 theaters. But in the other hand, there was no time for promotion. The movie did not benefit from promotion time, to build it, because Paramount, Columbia, TriStar, they can build a movie with advertising. So we didn't have time for it. But the movie had, because the prequel, the original, was so successful, so it already had a built-in audience. They didn't need a lot. The same young people, especially young girls who saw Breaking, they went immediately to see Breaking 2. So it just so happened that it was within the same calendar year in the beginning. And this is the only case that I know, or many other people that told me in the history of Hollywood, that a movie, original and a sequel, will appear in the theater in the same year, in the same calendar year. There is no other equivalent case that it happened. So we believe in the beat, as I told you, and this was the story of Breaking 2. It was a big hit at the time. To the best of my knowledge, it was not as successful in the box office as Breaking. Did not make as much money, but in the long time longevity, it surpassed Breaking. Today, it's a cult movie. And not only this, it became a movie that I don't want to say it defines the era. It's not one movie does not define era, but it's one of the movies that it's a pinpoint, that it's part of a group of a cultural event that defines the 80s.
Yes,
Breaking to Electric Boogaloo, and the phrase Electric Boogaloo is a story by itself. This by itself. People wrote already books about this phrase, Electric Boogaloo, what happened to it, from how it was very positive, how it is in a negative connotation nowadays. Politically, it became negative phrase. So the evolution and in general in the English language, Electric Boogaloo is synonym with sequel. When you want to say sequel, you can say Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, people say they're making Citizen Kane to Electric Boogaloo.
Bible to Electric Boogaloo.
But yes, it's there forever now, though, isn't it? So,
and I had nothing to do with this phrase. When I was hired, it was already the title of the movie. But there are many essays about it. Who came up with it? Shabadu, Golan. There is a lot. Different theories who invented electric boogaloo. But it wasn't me. I was not involved.
Okay. Because Ice-T's in there as well, isn't he? Yeah. Doing some rapping. Is that his first appearance in a film? So look, he's done a lot. Let's go right back.
Marco Siedelman from Germany put together this book, Stories from the Trenches. And
look at it.
It's really big book.
It's a very big book.
It's many photos.
Detailed.
All of those stories and other stories kind of and ended up on this. It's a book of interviews. He did not write anything except in the beginning, but
Stories from the Trenches. I will put the link in the chat. So
years later, if there is a question, I will answer. But years later, I made Shabadu and things. I didn't see him for many years, and later I met him. Here's a picture of Shabadu and me when we did the commentary track for the DVD, for the Blu-ray of Breaking to Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
And bringing Shabadu to the session was a story by itself.
Okay. Right, let's have a look. Echo's here saying hello.
Hello.
Kinjiro Sangha Arena.
Hi. The Kinjiro Sangha
Arena. That's a good name, isn't it? Got Nos from Pro Physical Media. Good evening to you and welcome back.
Good evening. Garrett, and welcome again, Sam. Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here and share with you stories. Here, Electric Boogaloo.
Right. I'll come back to that question.
Electric Boogaloo.
There it is.
Scene from Electric Boogaloo. Pictures. It's good that I have it in the book so I can share with you photos.
Yes.
Of course, I have them in the computer as well. But...
yeah, keep them safe. Because the next question about American Samurai. When will it be out on Blu-ray?
Question about podcast. American Samurai. Okay, American Samurai is actually the distribution is it's a sad story. Not only American Samurai. I directed few movies with David Bradley.
Yes.
And with David Bradley we have Cyborg Cop number 2 or Cyborg Soldier, American Samurai. All the three of them. No, first we did American Samurai before Cyborg. Yeah. Canon. Let me go back to Canon, and I'll tell you how we ran into problem with this American Samurai.
Okay.
Canon ended up, the life of the company Canon, which produced about 400 movies, ended up in a bankruptcy case. The company went into debts and many problems. And finally, a court dissipated the company, broke up the company, sold the assets to different small companies. And one fraction of this asset went to Yoram Globus, which was the head of the company, who is one of the heads. Menachem Golan, they separated. Menachem Golan created another company, which was called 21st Century. Yoram Globus, together with Chris Pierce. Chris Pierce, by the way, was British, was from England. He was running the company, Canon. And they created another company. I cannot remember the name right now, but I dubbed it Canon number 2. Another company. And some of the assets went to MGM, some of the assets went to Charles Bronson. They owed a lot of money to many entities and people and group. So this new company, which was I don't remember the name of the company, and maybe it's in the poster. And they inherited the title Delta Force. Canon Film produced Delta Force number 1 with Chuck Norris, Delta Force number 2. When everything broke out, Chris Pierce and Yoram Globus inherited the title and the right to another Delta Force movie.
Yes. Okay.
And they created a company, and they called me. It was the beginning of their adventure, and they called me and they said they wanted to make a movie, Delta Force number 3. There was no Chuck Norris in it, but Eric Norris was in it, and so we did. So we produced this one. I directed. They produced this one movie that was called Delta Force number 3. The Warriors, not the Warriors. There is a subtitle, but we are not talking about it. We're talking about David Bradley. Then the movie was finished. They sold it. Was Columbia. It was distributed by Columbia, and now the company was looking to make another movie, to produce another movie. So they wanted to do something which will be similar to the success of American Ninja. But the title American Ninja belongs to MGM. MGM in the court, MGM inherited, they won the entire American Ninja franchise and all the rights to it. And they are guarding it until today, MGM is guarding this title very tight. They don't allow anyone to use the title American Ninja. And so, but this young company, this new company, they wanted something similar. So somebody came up with the idea, instead of American Ninja, American Samurai. They already had relationship with David Bradley because David Bradley was in American Ninja number 4, I think. So they already knew David Bradley. So they called me into the office, after we finished this Delta Force number 3, they called me into the office. They had offices here and also in Hollywood. We want to make another movie, which martial art, American Samurai, and they introduced me to David Bradley. And David Bradley will be the star of the movie. Okay. I was also introduced to Mark Dacascos. I was not introduced, we were looking for the bad guy, the villain.
Yeah.
And through casting, etc., I met Mark Dacascos also. And they decided they wanted to shoot the film in Israel because they had a studio in Israel. And so, fine, for me, it's a pleasure to go to Israel. For me, I have many friends, many people in Israel that I can work with. I will be happy to be there. And so we went to Israel, and we filmed this movie, American Samurai. American Samurai is along the line of Bloodsport. There is a lot of fights in an arena. We finished the movie. And this movie, they were not successful in selling it to a major company for distribution. And right about the same time, this company disappeared. So this company had only 2 movies. They produced only 2 movies, Delta Force 3 and American Samurai. Now the Delta Force 3 belongs to Paramount, so I think Paramount, not Columbia. Paramount, so it has parents. This American Samurai doesn't have parents. Nobody. So the company disappeared. There is nobody to handle it anymore. Nobody to deal with it. So I know, DVDs and Blu-rays came in other countries because I believe they sold the rights for the movie in other countries, let's say in Europe or in Asia. But here in America, what we call domestic, North America, I don't think they sold it to any distribution company. It came out on a VHS, but this was the end. This was the end of the life, and it's a shame because there is nobody to deal and to bring it to Blu-ray movies. And there are companies, there are companies here who do Blu-ray, even, but you have to find out who owns the rights to the movie. And sometimes when company disappears, the rights are disappearing. It's in the Library of Congress or whatever. And I have the same fate with another movie I directed, Riverbend. Also, there is no owner to the movie anymore. And it's in a limbo. So sometimes the right of the movie, if it's not owned by a studio or a strong company, suddenly the rights. Now, to the best of my knowledge, so this movie, nobody knows where it is or who. No, there is no parents, there is no father or mother who will take care of it and make sure it will, like MGM with the American Ninja series, they take care of this. They came out with DVD, first edition, second edition, third edition. Then they sold the right to a local company, Olifilm, to come up with the Blu-ray. So there is a parents company who is nurturing American Ninja and keeping it alive, and selling it to streaming, etc. Somebody is taking care of it, and I'm afraid that that's what happened to American Samurai. There is nobody to take care of it. So I don't know if it will come out in Blu-ray. I have no idea. Sadly enough, the same fate happened to. Then after I knew David, I directed him in 2 movies for another company, which was called New Image, or now it's called Millennium. It's the same company, and we made Cyber Cup and Cyber Cup 2, and they sold it to a local company. When we were finished, this was a young company. New Image was a very young company, and they sold those 2 movies to Widmark. There was a company, Vidmark, at the time.
Oh, yeah.
It was run by Mark Amin. Vidmark, video distribution. So they sold it to him in perpetuity. So it will never come back to New Image. And they came out in VHS, on cassettes.
Yeah.
And then somehow Vidmark and Lionsgate company became one company. One way or another, some merger between Vidmark and Lionsgate. And nobody knows again what happened with the rights. I believe, I didn't pursue it really, and I don't know, that Cyber Cup 1 and 2 belong now to Lionsgate. That's what I believe.
Okay.
But it needs those kind of things needs a research and follow up and find out who has it. And then if the company who owns it, they have the incentive to deal with it, to take it to Blu-ray. In my opinion, there are enough David Bradley fans around that it will be worth coming with the Blu-ray. I was explained, by the way, to answer this question of Blu-ray, unless you are talking about big movies, big movies, a Blu-ray is a business of collector nowadays, because nowadays the business of distributing movies is streaming. This is the word. This is the method. Every movie is streamed. So producing a Blu-ray is for collectors only. This is it, for enthusiast collectors. So there is not a lot of money, even for the big movies, even any movies. So coming out with the physical Blu-ray, preparing it, the artwork, the commentary, it needs some kind of investment, and there is not a lot of profit in it. So I was, even when we did American Ninja, the people who did it, they explained it to me. It's only for collectors. It's a collector business, not a big business. So there is not big incentive for companies to deal with it anymore, like they used to be, let's say, 10 years ago. Not anymore. So it's all streaming business. Sadly enough, I think this will be, this is going to be the story of American Samurai. But you never know, because somebody suddenly, things are strange. A friend of mine just found the movie that I mentioned, Riverbend, was produced by independent money, not a company, but private investor invented this, made this movie. It came out on VHS, didn't go any farther than that. And there are people who are fan of this movie. It's not a famous movie with Steve James, starring Steve James from
I've
American
seen it.
Ninja.
It's a very good film.
And there is a group which is called Real Black. They specialize in black movies, and they really, they adapted this movie, and they wanted somehow to produce a Blu-ray, DVD, Blu-ray, and we found the original producer in Texas. They found him, but still it's very hard to get the rights. There is investment, but the strange story, the nice story, they found a 35 millimeter print in South Africa and they bought it. and it took like 3 months to arrive from South Africa, and now they have a real print of the movie. It's a rarity to have a 35 millimeter for an unknown or unfamous movie. It's a little bit easier, I know that Quentin Tarantino bought a 35 millimeter print of Breaking to Electric Boogaloo, but that's easier. This is MGM, so it's easier. But to find a 35 millimeter of some esoteric movie, small movie, but
very lucky.
They found the 35 millimeter. So at least one step, maybe they will come up with it.
Yeah, because if you get the rights to the film, it doesn't mean you actually get the physical film.
Back to American Samurai. I don't know if you can, because the company disappeared. I don't know if you can find today a print. I don't know if they can find the material. Where's to make a Blu-ray, you need either the negative or the original transfer to video, like they did with American Ninja. Everything was organized in the library of MGM. But who knows where all the material, the core material, the basic material of American Samurai. We don't know.
Yes, it's like Kenjiro says, it's been on DVD, but they cut out most of the gore when it got released. Yeah, it's a cut version, so it's not.
It was a DVD, I remember.
Yeah.
It's true also, you're right about the violence. It was a pretty violent movie in the way we staged it. I had a very good team of stunt people from China, with the Hong Kong tradition, and those movies are pretty violent. But when it comes to gore and blood flying around and cuts, etc., I'm not too shy about this. No, I'm totally non-violent person, but visually I like it. and we did some stuff that they had to cut out in America, because here you have the system, the X rating, the R rating.
Yeah, same here.
In order to come up with the. You're right. I have a DVD. I have a copy of the DVD.
And you still got a Riverbend on VHS tape, yeah.
I do too. I have a Riverbend VHS.
That's good.
I do, and that's the only one. And I transfer it privately to DVD, but it's very poor if you're transferring it.
Yeah, still the quality, isn't it?
Very poor quality. You need to go back to the core material, but we might. Luckily, somebody found a print, a real 35 millimeter print. So, of course, it has to be checked if it's not too scratched, if the color didn't fade. But there are ways to restore.
Oh, good.
If there is a... but we don't know where the negative is, because it was developed in some lab in Texas, and I think the lab does not exist anymore. They developed it in Dallas.
So it could be in storage somewhere in the middle of the
storage is a big problem. That's what happened with Canon. When Canon disappeared, many people are asking me constantly about missing scenes of Revenge of the Ninja, missing scene, because we didn't use all the scenes. But we cannot put together a director cut or full cut, because MGM doesn't know where the missing scenes are. Nobody knows. Canon had some warehouses, etc. They didn't have money, bankruptcy. So I guess nobody was paying the warehouses rental. They had wardrobes. They had all kind of things that could have been memorabilia, all the props and everything. But I assume that you don't pay the rental for 1, 2, 3 months. The owner of the rental place takes everything and dump it. So the missing scene, the outtakes, the wardrobe, the props. The original artwork, nobody knows where it is. MGM put some effort. People put pressure, and the good people of MGM in the lab were trying to find some missing scene, but they told us we only have the original cut negative of the final cut. We don't have the material which was out of the final cut. Because when they got everything in the court, in the bankruptcy, they did not get the extra material, the excess material. So it's the same problem.
Yeah, a lot of
when you have a non-studio movie, a
Yeah.
non-established studio movie. Luckily, all the movies I directed for Canon ended up in the hand of MGM, and they really took good care of it, including Avenging Force, Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, and the 2 American Ninja, and the 2 Ninja movies, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja 3, American Ninja #1, American Ninja 2, Riverbend, and Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, all in the hand of MGM, which is a good place.
Okay. Yes. That's something safe, at least. So, yeah. I had Stephen Lambert on the last month, interviewing him about his study.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
He was praising you, of course.
He's a very brave, innovating stunt coordinator. We did some crazy stuff, especially in Revenge of the Ninja. We were so naive and so uncareful and so crazy that we did some stuff I wouldn't do nowadays.
I know.
No way.
It shows on screen, which is great, but he put his life on the line.
But he's innovative, but also brave, crazy and brave stuntman. Because I have the story of in American Ninja. There was a motorcycle jump, and he brought 2 or 3 experts, motorcycle riders, and the 3 of them, gave up. They didn't have the courage to do it. And finally, Steve said, "Okay, screw it, I'm going to do it." And he sat on the motorcycle and he jumped the wall. And he's not a motorcycle stuntman per se, and he did it. So,
he hits his head on the landing, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a video circulating about the landing.
Yeah.
We switched from him to Michael Dudikoff on the cut.
Yeah.
On the cut, we switched from him to Michael. Yeah.
But who was it who dressed him as a cowboy in Revenge of the Ninja?
I don't remember whose idea was it, but somehow we had this idea to make a comical fight.
Yeah.
With Sho Kasugi and Kit Vitali and 4 thugs in the street. And I don't remember right now how there was a wardrobe. Sometimes ideas, while directing movies, sometimes ideas are coming from left to. Sometimes things are all planned, organized in the script, etc. But sometimes improvisation, things on the set, maybe a wardrobe lady, maybe Sho Kasugi. Oh, let's have some fun and have some 3 characters. One is going to be a wrestler, one is going to be a cowboy. It might have been Sho Kasugi. I don't remember right now who came up with this idea. I don't think it was me. I think I just consent. I agreed. I saw that. I figured out this is a good idea. It's going to be a funny scene. So a comical fight. There was one more character, which is, you just see him for a second in the background. With a long dress, with a beard. There was a little section with him also, but he didn't end up on the final fight. So there were 5 characters, actually.
Okay. We mentioned Cyborg Cop 1 and 2, but they're not related, are they, the films? They're not a follow-on story, are they? It's related only by David Bradley as being the star. Story-wise, every one of them had a kind of a conclusion. The first Cyborg Cop had a conclusion. There was nowhere to go to keep the story going. So there was a conclusion, finish, big explosions, everything. And the only thing, you have the survivor, David Bradley, the character of David Bradley. That's it. So, and then we didn't even know that if we are going to make a sequel or not. You don't know. This kind of movies, you don't know if they will be successful. But the company, New Image, they sold it. It was a moderate success. It was successful enough for them
to ask me to direct a sequel, to make a sequel. So the only connection is David Bradley, his character, more or less, and also the location is completely different. In the first movie, it's like a Caribbean exotic location. The second story is the location is Los Angeles. The story takes place in Los Angeles. No, but kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
There is this cop. He's very good. There is a villain, of course, in every and there are those creatures which are cyborg, and somehow in between you have to the hero, the protagonists have to win over the bad guys or the villains, rescue something, rescue his brother, rescue the world, rescue the city. It's a formula movie, a story. But no connections. It's not really. So is the three ninja movies. They are not connected. Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja 3, The Domination. Story-wise, they are not connected at all.
No. But because Lucinda Dickey she had Breaking, Ninja 3, and Breaking 2 all in the same year as well, didn't she? In 1984.
Was there a question I didn't hear?
Well, it's just generalizing that Lucinda Dickey had 3 films in 1984 with you.
Yeah. I'm known for being, for some reason here, for some one way or another, I became famous for being a sequel, the director of the sequel.
Definitely.
And, some movies, and then I did the sequel. Some movies I directed, which were the sequels that I was not involved in the originals.
Do you ever watch modern films?
Excuse me?
Do you watch a lot of modern films?
Not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. And my taste, we can kind of conclude. We are talking already 1 hour.
Yep.
And we conclude my taste with age, I must say, shifted. Of course, when I was a kid, I mostly watched Western. Westerns were the most available movies in the 50s. I was a kid in the 50s. I was a teenager in the 60s, 1960s, 1950s, 1960s. The main, the main genre of movies we saw were Westerns. Westerns were the standard. And American Westerns from Hollywood. Then I would say gangster movies, adventure, and adventures. There was all kind of adventure, either American movies or Italian movies. Sinbad, the Sailor, this kind of fantasy. We hardly saw any science fiction at that time or horror movie. I never saw a horror movie in my life when I was young. Then was the mainstream Hollywood musical, Sound of Music, the big movies, David Lean, Bridge Over the River Kwai, Dr. Zhivago. So, and then came James Bond at the end of the 60s, the James Bond series. So this was the type of movies I grew up, action movies, not horror movies. I never saw a horror movie before the movie The Exorcist. The Exorcist was the first horror movie I ever saw in my life. And it was here in Los Angeles, in America. And so this was the diet. This was on my menu, the diet on my menu. This kind of action, semi-action movies. I was never attracted to European art movie, never ever.
Okay.
So this is the type of movies that I watched. And then through the years, I became 40, 30. I loved action movies. I love sci-fi very much, special effect movies. But lately, my feeling, and it's not my private feeling only, I read about it, movies became recycled. Yeah. Any movie you go and see, you had this feeling. I'm not talking about artistic movie. I'm talking about the mainstream.
Yeah.
Any movies that you go and see, you have this feeling that you saw this movie already. You saw the story. If they are recycling material again and again, they take the same heroes from this movie, from that movie. They put it in a different bundle. The same story again. Now, of course, beautiful. The production value is getting better and better. The special effects are getting better and better. But I lost interest in this kind of superheroes movies because I get the feeling that it's a recycled material.
Yeah.
They're afraid to make. Hollywood is afraid to take chances, and they just make formula movies again and again.
Yeah.
And even if it's a drama, it's the family. Now, without saying, of course, once in a while there is a good movie. There are some good, excellent drama, excellent movies. And so I shifted away from action because I feel that action is recycled material. Even a good series like The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
The next sequel, it kind of, you get this feeling that you saw it. They're recycling the material. They're just putting it in a different. They move the chess pieces around, but it's still the same board, And so I'm inclined to see more artistic movies. Nomad, The Darkest Hour, about Churchill. Movies which are more dramatic in substance rather than a lot of firework of special effects, which I used to like. I used to like a lot. So if I see those kind of action movies today, if I see action movies, they're really for the spectacle, for the effect. But I think we lost the feeling in the action. The stars of the movies, except maybe Tom Cruise, they don't perform the action anymore. It's all doubles. It's all blue screen, optical effects. They would put the head of the star on top of the body of some stunt guy, and you can feel it. You can feel it. There is a sense when you see the movie. Those spectacular movies, once in a while, Doctor Strange, the effects are unbelievable. The optical effects are beyond the imagination. They are beautiful. I agree with you. So I still watch movies. Of course, we had the pandemic. We didn't go to theaters. So it's like everybody else, I see more streaming than... And I'm lucky that because I'm voting for the Academy Award, so I get all the DVDs. They send it to my home. We get the DVDs of all the best movies. So I see.
Lovely. Well, that's
it.
That's a good
That's
time
where
to
we
wrap it
stand
up
today.
Yeah.
But one of my main activities in the world of film is preserving the legacy of the low budget independent movies of the 80s.
Yes.
Not only myself, Albert Payun,
yeah.
Steve Carver, Toby Hooper, Sheldon. Sheldon just came up with a book also. Sheldon Ledich, Lionsgate, came up with a book. So this group of people, Joe Zito, Invasion USA. This group of people of director who were there in the 80s and the first part of the 90s, and back then did not get the recognition at all those movies. No. But nowadays, some of those movies, the early movies, the early action, simple action movies, they get the recognition today. And of course, they were later emulated and copied, but by kind of it moved to Hong Kong, to China, and they did it even better. They made those movies even better than we did. but the legacy, we're trying to preserve the legacies. Books are coming out, interviews like this one, many other interviews. I just got 2 more interviews this week that came out. One by Joe Blow.
Oh yes, I saw that.
And about Revenge of the Ninja, and the Viking Samurai came out this week. So between interviews, books are coming out. More and more books are coming out about this era and about this time and the preservation of this time. So I'm basically retired, but I spend some time helping in the preservation of this so-called independent, low-budget genre movies of the 80s and the 90s.
Well, thank you for that. I enjoy watching them, and last few comments.
Okay.
He says, "Thank you, Sam.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for listening. And I'm sure that we'll put it in the later. It will be out on YouTube or on your channel. So I will help to promote it like we did last time.
Yes, and yes, thank you for all your movies, indeed. All right.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you. That's great.
I like to hear that people enjoy those movies.
Yes,
I get a lot of reactions from all over the world. I do. From all over the world. And, lately, last year, even a prominent director like Quentin Tarantino dedicated some few words for those movies, that how much
he did. He loves them
when he was young. And how much it influenced him, like Kill Bill, etc. How much he was influenced by those movies. Yeah.
All right, then. We'll wrap it up. Guys. Thank you again, Sam.
Thank you so much, and let me know when you're ready to distribute to put it online.
Yep, I shall send you the links again.
I will have this and that. And thank you all guys who came and listened and asked questions.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Sam. Right.